Hello and welcome back, everyone. It's just another day in the life as a military wife, and it feels like this year is going fast. So how are you guys doing on your goals? I know I'm still working on my mission statement, and the other day I came across a news article that was really refreshing and got me thinking. So I want to share that with you today. As always, I'm your host, Sam Wolf, and you're listening to Life of a Military Wife. So, like I said earlier this week, or was it last week? Anyway, recently I ran into a news article that wasn't your typical news article. It feels like a lot of the news lately is just really heavy and there's a lot going on, and it's almost daily that you run into people having major conflicts over economy or politics or current events or something. And this was a completely different article. It was a breath of fresh air. And in it, the lady who wrote the article, and I will try to find it and link it if I can, but I just read it in passing. It was something I just stumbled across in my feed. And she talked about going to the grocery store and the cost of food and all the different things that was going on, and the person in front of them trying multiple cards and having them all declined until finally finding one that worked so they could buy their groceries and just all of this. And she's like, what happened to the sense of community? Why people don't smile at each other? And then she remembered the veteran at the beginning of, like, at the store, talking to one of the store employees and telling him he's doing a good job. And that hit me. How often do we smile at a stranger anymore? Do we know all of our neighbors? Are we involved in our communities? When we go to the grocery store, do we have a conversation with the clerk? If something goes wrong and we have to call up a customer service person or talk to a customer service person, do we get upset at them, or do we understand that they're just the person who's the middleman? And there's so much of these interactions, and because we go more and more online and we don't have to interact with people face to face, I sometimes feel like we've lost our ability to be compassionate or be kind or just smile. I love going grocery shopping at the same place every week around the same time of day because it's the same shift of people. And I've come to, over the years, get to know them, and they've gotten to know baby cuteness. And there is a sense of community in this. And sometimes you don't live in a small town. Sometimes you live in a big city, or you're moving from place to place to place. How do we find community? How do we build community? And it starts small. So there's a story I remember hearing when I was a kid, and it was about a man who he wanted to change the world, and he spent years and years trying to figure out how he could change the world, and he realized that was too big of a effort to just go for all at once. So he's like, okay, I'm going to try to change my country. And so he's dedicated the next years of his life trying to change his country and make it a better place. And he's like, this is too big also. Okay, I'm going to work on my community. And so he worked on changing his community, improving his community, and he was kind of getting there. But he realized it just wasn't the impact he wanted. And he's like, oh, maybe I should work on changing and helping my family. And by that point, he was an old man, and his family was already grown and had built their lives on their own without him. And he realized it was too late, that maybe if he had started with his family and then branched out to his community, that would have led to changes in his country, which could have affected the world. And I'm not saying that that's a very simplistic story, very cute, quaint. summarization. I'm not saying that we can't find a problem in the world and try to find a way to address it. We can. But oftentimes it feels like people are searching for this way to make a big impact, to go viral, to be the next big thing. I cannot even begin to tell you how many young kids I've run into who want to be a Twitch streamer or an influencer or a YouTuber when they grow up. And I'm sitting there going, or a TikTok artist. I'm sitting there going, how is that going to build community? How is that going to keep our world going? How how are you going to help and better and improve people's lives doing that? And I mean, entertainment does do that. I know that there are beautiful works of art and literature and music that uplift and enrich people's souls, and more power to the people who have those talents and work and refine them so that they are able to bless the lives of those around them. That is fabulous. But a lot of them, they just want quick fame. They just want to be rich. And when being rich is the goal, what happens if you achieve it? Are you going to have a family to share it with? Are you going to have goals of how you want to spend that money once you've got it? I I had an instance that happened when I was a kid. Well, kid-ish, young teen. There was a girl who I started to get to know and kind of hang out with. And one day she said something that was actually really now that I look back, I was like, dude, that was like uncalled for. But she turned to me one day and she said, I don't get it. I am rich. I have everything I could want. I have all the money. I can buy anything. My parents get me whatever I want, and I'm miserable. And you are the poorest person I have ever met, and you're happy. Why? That's just not fair. And I'm sitting there going, um, you say what? I didn't know what to say because, oh, yeah, we were dirt poor. I mean, she called it like it was. And yeah, I was pretty happy, but it opened my eyes in that moment as a young teenager to realize that money couldn't buy happiness. And I started to think about, well, I want to be happy. And if money isn't going to make me happy, then what does bring happiness? And that was a huge turning point and blessing in my life to start to think about what brings happiness. And I realized that one thing I didn't want was to be alone. I didn't ever want to be wealthy and alone and miserable. And I like people. I love being around people. I like helping people and encouraging people and seeing them grow and develop and achieve. I love rooting for the underdog. I love people. And I want to see this world be a place where people support each other and are kind to each other and care about each other and trust each other and are honest with each other. And that's what kind of started the whole path where this has led me to in at this point with is I want to help others. I want to be there for others. And so in college, I've kind of talked about before, I started working with at-risk youth, and I realized that that was so meaningful, and I loved and enjoyed that. But once I had children of my own, I realized I needed to be giving my all to my kids before I was giving what I had left to others. And I'm not saying that as my husband and my friends know perfectly well, I have girls' nights, I have friends, I do other things. My whole life isn't my children, but my priority is my children and my community. And I hearing that story about the man who wanted to change the world as a kid and having that experience with that young girl, the other teenager, really affected me. And it got me thinking about, you know what? I might never change the world. I might not become rich and famous and influential. Okay. But how can I help the people around me? What can I do to make a difference? And I'll tell you this straight up. There's been times in my life where I feel like I've been more effective with my goal and fulfilling my mission in life, that purpose that I started to identify. And there's times where I feel like I've lost the track. I've just been overwhelmed and just not functioning the way I wanted to be in my life. And I had to course correct. So, how does this all go back to the story that I was talking about in the beginning? We may not be able to change our country right away, overnight. We may not be able to stop wars or bring peace to the world overnight. But can we be kinder to the people in our community? Can we get to know our neighbors and say hi? Can we be involved in our communities? Maybe volunteer, participate in some organization. Just talk to the person in the cash register, checkout line. I, th- put away your grocery cart. I always do that, but that's because I'm a little OCD. But that's a really kind thing. Putting away your grocery cart so someone doesn't have to go, you know, looking for them, or you don't have to get out and move the cart just so you can park. Being courteous while you're driving. When you're merging, letting the other person merge in front of you. I love, I actually really love the school my kids are going to right now. By and large, I have had really great experiences in the drop-off line at this school, and I just haven't had this at other schools. People are very courteous and kind and patient. They use their blinkers, they wave, they let people cut in, they merge well. And I'm just sitting there going, oh, wow, I love this community. And we had an opportunity to help volunteer at a school event and do that as a family and have my kids involved. And everyone was just really kind and encouraging and supportive of each other. And it was a fabulous experience. And I started to realize we can have that. We can be the good that we want to see in the world. Do you have a friend you haven't talked to in a while? Maybe send them a text, call them, see how they're doing. And maybe give them some positive encouragement. So, as I was talking about this with some friends and thinking about it, I threw it out to a group of ladies who I am close to, and I asked them what are some random acts of kindness that they've seen or experienced in their life. And they started talking about people who stepped up and helped them when something wasn't working, or a neighbor noticing that they needed help with something and just taking care of it. And I put in that I remembered I was really just having a rough day. And it was when my husband was gone for a long time with the army. And I had been grocery shopping with all three kids and just exhausted and stressed out. And I got to my car, and on my car, there was a little post-it note that said, "You are loved." And that just brightened my day. It doesn't have to be big, life-changing things, but just slowing down and noticing and thinking about someone else. I love heart attacking. This is something I picked up from my mom. You cut out hearts and you can just put little paper hearts all over someone's door. Just that. Or because we were kind of a little bit more artsy of a family, we would like draw pictures and write quotes or little sayings and do that. And we would sneak up to their door and decorate their door with all the hearts and then leave. And it just made you feel good because you were telling someone how much they meant to you. But you weren't doing it for praise or recognition or a pat on the back. You were doing it because you wanted them to feel special. And I remember I had a really rough time in college. My roommates decided to go around to all of my friends and get them to all write notes to me, of encouragement and just things that they admired or respected about me. And then they gave me this little like box of all of these really uplifting, encouraging notes. And that helped me so much through that hard time. These are not expensive things. They didn't cost really anything. The most costly part is your time. We can smile to our neighbors. We can, oh my gosh, I love this. So I don't always get out to walk our dog as much as I'd like to in the winter because the cold and me are not compatible, and taking a dog out to walk in the cold and a baby is just a little tricky. And so there was a stretch where it was super, super cold and I wasn't getting the dog out to walk as much as I wanted to. She was still getting to run around and play in the backyard, and she was getting her exercise, and we were petting and loving on her. So she wasn't being neglected, but I know how much she loves going for a good run. And a neighbor's daughter, she was really missing their dog that had passed away or they didn't have anymore, and asked if she could go running with our dog. And it was such a blessing because I wanted our dog to be able to, get her energy out and feel that, that, but I just couldn't do it myself, and we were really busy that week or two. And so to have her step up and think of that, and she said that she just loved it because she said the dogs are best jogging partners because they're not judgmental. They are fine when you need to take a break and they're ready to go and they'll go at your pace. And I will admit, I'm spoiled. We have a wonderful dog for that. But these are all little things. And I know this has been kind of a little bit of a scattered about and not a typical episode, but I wanted it to be food for thought. So much of our days go so fast, and we're focusing on getting to this appointment or taking care of this phone call or email or getting the kids to soccer or school or dance or whatever we're doing, that we don't always stop to just focus on the little things. Maybe give our kid an extra hug, read him a book, sing him a song before bedtime. Maybe it's go and check in on a friend. As a military family, we don't always have family nearby. And so we, with every move, have to build our own community and our own local network of support. And that's been a blessing because it's made me be more intentional and thoughtful about doing things and getting out and getting to know people. I very easily can get comfortable and get into a rut. And so the constant change has encouraged me to be more involved. And I want to extend a challenge to you guys. Smile at someone this week. Write someone a note. Send them a silly meme to brighten their day. Do something. It doesn't have to be big. It can be small. It doesn't have to cost a penny. To show someone around you that they're loved. And let's see what a difference it makes. maybe if enough people do it, we'll see a change in our community. That's all I've got for this week. I've got quite a few interviews and stuff I'm figuring out and organizing. Things are going to be interesting. If you have any suggestions about different guests or topics you would like me to cover, books you would like me to review, please send me a message. Twitter, X is one of the best ways to get directly a hold of me, but you can also do it through the Facebook page or through Spreaker. Also, my email. I'm going to try to have all of my contact stuff in the descriptions from now on. Please also leave a like or a review. Those are encouraging and they help out with the algorithms and stuff so people see this content. I make this to hopefully help the military community and military adjacent, just as a resource. So it helps when you guys share it. And if you sent me a topic or an interview guest last year, things were quite a bit nuts with having a new baby. I got really far behind, and I'm now going back to the backlog and finding the recommendations that I didn't get to, and I'm going to try to revisit them. So if you want to resend them. That will help. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful week. As always, I am your host, Sam Wolf, and you're listening to Life of a Military Wife.